Brilliance Audio presents The Body Keeper by Anne Frasier, performed by Emily Sutton Smith. Once the bodies were loaded, she slid into the driver's seat, turned the ignition key, and heard nothing but a terrifying click. Her heart hammered as she panic-pumped the accelerator while twisting the key again. The cargo van shook and the engine sputtered, then fell silent. That was followed by the alarming scent of gasoline. All her instincts shouted to run. Just run. Maybe catch a cab and then a plane to Mexico or someplace. Any place. She tried the key again. The vehicle rocked and spewed black exhaust, but this time the engine caught. Without waiting for it to settle into a steady idle, she put it in gear and shot forward. She took a side street. No interstate for her. Last thing she needed was to break down on a busy highway. She ended up winding through the Stevens Square neighborhood of Minneapolis, somehow ending up on Franklin Avenue. A right turn, an incline, a bridge spanning water, and the engine started coughing again, then died completely. She kept her foot off the brake pedal and coasted uphill, muttering, "Come on, come on. Come on." But the vehicle didn't quite crest the center rise of the bridge before slowly coming to a complete stop. Then it began to roll backward. Now she slammed on the brakes, put the van in park, and tried to restart it. A few futile minutes later, a red light bounced off her side mirror. A cop pulling up behind her. With a flashlight in his hand, the officer got out of the squad car and approached. She lowered the window, the typical drill. She gave him her driver's license and registration, trying to keep her voice and hands steady, all the while aware of the bodies behind her seat, covered in a tarp. "Cold night to be out so late," he said. "I had some errands to run. A friend's in the hospital and I'm watching her dogs." She'd always been good at bullshitting, but this kind of thing had been easier when she was young and attractive. She could get out of any predicament back then. He took her license to his squad car, then returned a couple of minutes later, passing it through the window. "Do you have someone coming to help you?" "I called a tow truck." "Would you like to wait in my car until he comes? It's below zero right now. I don't want you ending up in the hospital, too." "No, that's fine. They said 10 minutes, max." "I'll be back in 10 or 15 to check on you. Don't try to walk anywhere. Always best to stay with your vehicle." Once he was gone, she jumped out of the van and scanned the area. She was in one of those neighborhoods that existed deep in the city, oddly secluded, except she could hear Interstate 94. The houses were close, but not too close, and there were a lot of big evergreen trees. It would be tough for someone to see her from a window. Plus it was dark, the nearest lights far off. She'd read that vandals had been shooting out streetlights, but Minneapolis was also a dark sky-compliant city. Scared shitless about the cops' promise to return, she hurried to the back of the van and dragged out one of the bodies, pulling it across ice and snow. Her heart was pumping so much adrenaline she probably could have lifted a truck over her head. No need. The edge of the bridge was low. With what felt like very little effort and superhuman strength, she balanced the stiff body on the concrete ledge and raised the feet, like raising one end of a teeter-totter. It practically did the rest on its own, vanishing over the side into the blackness. But instead of the splash she expected, she heard a dull thud. She looked over and barely made out the dark shape lying on top of the ice. Committed now. Nothing else she could do. No way to get the body back. She returned to the van for the rest, disposing of them one after the other. Third time really was the charm, because the ice cracked and the dark shapes disappeared. By the time she tossed the fourth body over, she heard the splash she'd been waiting for. Finished, she closed the van doors, climbed into the driver's seat, and called for roadside assistance. True to his word, the cop swung past again. He seemed about to get out of his vehicle when the emergency lights of the tow truck appeared from around a curve in the road. The cop lowered his window, waved, shouted for her to have a nice night, and pulled away.